when you take care of the youth, you take care of the future. Yes? So serving families, serving the unhoused. She traveled all over the world to do also some of these services. So when you visit the website, when you visit the Instagram, you'll see a lot of different images from around the world.
How do you push past being afraid? The first fear that I had is speaking. Some people may be surprised, but I do not like this. But in philanthropy and in nonprofit space, you have to talk to people. You have to engage. You got to get out in the community. And I wasn't really comfortable with doing that at the time. But pushing past my fear of speaking opened up a lot of other doors that said, you know what, I'm just going to do it anyway.
I have sent your questions. Thank you so much. I have sampled them to Bee Hunter and ask her to kind of look at what you're interested in. That does not mean that you don't ask more questions as things come up, okay? So thank you so much for being here. Please help me to welcome Bee Hunter to our class. Woo! Yeah.
I'm happy for you guys.
I'm going to say a few words about her and then the floor is open for this hour. Thank you for being here. Take it all in. Be inspired. This is a real person with real action that is changing people's lives. We're the real team. You also have an opportunity to be part of her team if you want to. That's part of the list of the community service and stuff that I shared with you. And on the long term, of course, you can always reach back out and be part of that movement, okay? So, Bee Hunter is a real creative person that has done a lot of creative stuff all over the United States. She'll tell you how she got where she is right now and doing the stuff that she's doing right now. But I'm going to say that she's a person with a huge vision of care. Mm. Right. By the way, like the motto is, who cares? We do. Okay. This is like spending time with the community in the trenches. Okay. So she's a motivational speaker, definitely a servant of the community. She has a nonprofit that has a bunch of different dimensions that you'll learn about, and that is serving the community in different ways. And that's good. Remember, I always say, have a multi-ethnic, diverse team that does different things. That's the best way that we serve the community. She's providing essential resources, outreach, food distribution, all sorts of stuff. There's a run club. So you'll learn about all these different aspects. I think one of the biggest aspects is also philanthropy, and then outreach to youth, service to youth, because she definitely understands that when you take care of the youth, you take care of the future. Yes. So serving families, serving the unhoused. She traveled all over the world to do also some of these services. So when you visit the website, when you visit the Instagram, you'll see a lot of different images from around the world. You know, it's community is right here. I believe in take care of your people here, but that also means that you're connected. As you make new connections, you're also connected to the rest of the world. So why not, right? When the opportunity comes. So thank you again, and welcome me help me welcome one more time Bee Hunter, founder and CEO of Power Speaks Louder.
Thank you, girl.
You want to sit? You want to?
No,
Okay.
I can stand right here.
That's what she does.
I can just hang out with you guys.
Right.
Thank you so much,
Right.
Miriam. Let's clap for her. Yo, teacher. Okay. First of all, I'm super excited to be here. I think it's just such a privilege just to even have a space like you are the first person to ask me to come after the film. And that's huge. And you all of your questions that I had an opportunity to read through, which I think are amazing questions. And because there were so many, I'm like, we may need to just ask them in this room, right? But I'm open and willing to answer all of your questions. It's always an honor to serve people. But I give you a little bit of background. I feel like you guys seen most of it, right? Because you have seen the film. Did anybody enjoy the film? Did y'all enjoy the film? Okay, did anybody not enjoy the film?
Say the truth.
Y'all can be honest.
Be honest.
Be honest. Was it boring? Was it exciting? Hopefully you guys got different emotions.
I heard somebody say made them cry.
Oh, me too, girl. Made me cry. It makes me cry when I watch it as well. But no, I'm happy that all of you had a chance to check it out. With Power Speaks Louder, I may not have got an opportunity to mention this in the film, but my background, aside from creatively, because I'll go way back to when I was like in middle school, as a young person, as adolescent, I was always like drawing and super duper creative, but I was bullied and teased because I was too dark and too skinny. And that was like the first adversity that I had when I was young. So much so, I remember being a little girl and I was just riding my bike with my dad. And my neighbor, who wasn't African-American, I think she was Hispanic at the time, And she was noticing that this car was like waiting and like watching me and my dad ride our bikes. And she goes over to the car and she says, "Excuse me, I noticed that you've been here for a while and watching this family. What's going on?" He's like, "Well, I want to kill the daughter and the dad, but if you run, I'm going to kill you too." So then, out of panic, she's like, "Oh my God." And she runs after us and tells us that this guy in the car said he wants to kill you guys. Hurry up and get in the house and call the police. So as a young child, I'm trying to figure out, well, why would someone want to hurt me? I'm out here riding my bike. So we run in the house, we call the police, and we're actually watching this guy. So my dad at one point is trying to push me over the fence, right? He didn't carry at the time. So we're in fear. But we're seeing this gentleman walk towards us with something in his hand, okay? So the cops pulled up right before he crosses the street to us. And then eventually they say they didn't find anything, so they did not arrest him, okay? It was a threat, but for years and years, I had a dream of someone coming to my door and having to hide. So from a young age, I always had this struggle, but for something that was very interesting to me, it didn't make me feel inferior. It didn't make me treat people differently, or even if I would see someone not of my skin color. My mom always taught me to never look at people as if you're inferior or as if you didn't get something because of the color of your skin. Yes, that happens in life, but don't go through life that way, okay? So that's just a little bit about the history when I was younger. But as I was going into, being young, middle school, I got teased and bullied because I was too dark and too skinny. And then I started to get into fashion because I'm like, okay, y'all ain't going to talk about me. I'm about to be fly. In New York, so cut to, I'm in California. I go off to FIDM. And then I go to Maui and Sons, which is a surf and skate brand. Again, I am the only African-American woman in that company, okay? It's a surf and skate brand. What I'm doing there, right? Most people would think. But I love that place. And one thing I do remember this, and I always try to tell people this. They say, someone said, don't mind asking for $1 because you're not going to get it. Now, I didn't know if that meant because how I looked or if they asked for $1 and didn't get it, or they asked for more and only got $1. Does that make sense? So after 6 months, I'm driving from Moreno Valley to Pacific Palisades every day. I'm tired, okay? I'm crushing it with the board shorts and the surfboards that I'm designing, all kind of random stuff. And I had this meeting. I said, hey, I need more money because this is getting to be a little bit much, okay? In that moment, being the only African-American woman in that space, I could have thought, they're not going to give me anything extra, or I'm not, like everyone else. But I just remember my mom said, so in that meeting, I said, hey, I need a raise. He says, how much? I said, $20,000 more than I was making. He looked at me, he said, do you know that's a lot of money? So then he said, never in history have we ever given someone this amount of raise, but don't tell nobody, okay? So I ended up making a decent amount of money to actually live 8 minutes away in Playa Vista. So I had a beautiful setup, but I wanted to move to New York. So before I moved back to California to even start something like this, that was a whole different direction. I was out moving and shaking, with people that many of you may know. And I was a designer for 3 years and I loved it. My brook dried up there. I felt like this footwear thing is cool. I'm swiping cards at Neiman Marcus, buying like $2,000 shoes just for the company to cut the strap and send it to China. It was fun. It was great, but something was missing. It felt very like superficial in a way. It didn't have any depth. It lacked meaning. And I just decided to move back to California. In California back in 2015, I was depressed. Okay. I'm back at home with mom and dad. Kind of picks up where the documentary left off. Back at home with mom and dad. And I'm like, what is my life? Because I lived on my own. I'm doing my own thing. I'm moving shoulders. I remember when Beyonce caught me in a party, I tripped over something and she caught me. I'm like, oh, thanks, girl. I'm just out there, So this life I'm living, I'm like, how did I get back to Moreno Valley? Okay. Mm-hmm. No shade. But back then I'm like, this is not a good idea. And then I'm also back in home with my mom and my dad in the same bedroom I lived in when I was in high school, painting on my clothes. Okay. So that took some wind out of me. But in that moment is where I'm like, I got to rethink a couple of things because I feel like an absolute loser. And it's kind of sad to think that way because I felt like I was in such a different space that the stigma of being back home, I think it's its own stigma, right? I'm not sure if any of you had that situation or if you're home now. I don't understand. I don't know. But I know for me, it didn't feel any good. However, that was the moment I was able to focus on my words, okay? The first direction I got was to actually revitalize my website because I became a freelance designer after leaving Fortune Footwear. In that process of doing the website, I had to create a name. Okay. It was not a nonprofit then. It was just to be a update of a website to present my work as a creative designer, as someone who can do graphic design, who could maybe pick up some more work, get a loft apartment in LA and live good. Okay. That's all I want to do. I didn't really care about people. And I hate to say that, which it shows you the beauty of the transformation, because I really wasn't thinking about the betterment of my community. I was too focused on myself. But focusing on myself didn't get me nowhere. Okay. It didn't get me nowhere but in my room and depressed. So as I revamped this website, I said, okay, what's the name? Because it was, I'm going to tell you, I'm a government. Brittany Sade Hunter. Okay. Don't tell anybody. So I'm B Hunter now, but back then I went by Brittany Sade. So I'm like, okay, what about B Hunter? I'm going to change my website to B Hunter. Yeah. So looked it up. It wasn't available. Okay. It was B-Hunter. Called a friend. Hey, what do you think about my website being called B-Hunter? He said, no, just looks like B Hunter wasn't available. So he said, try again. The name Power Speaks Louder came to mind a day later. It wasn't associated with the organization at the time, but it has so much meaning. And to this day, it has a lot of meaning that constantly reveals itself to us, right? So I'm not going to take you guys through the whole story, but that's actually like where it started. And even back then when I was in deep depression, I was asking, and even back then, I always had a concept. I always prayed when I was in trouble. Okay. I'm like, hey, I'm not hearing no voice. So what should I do? And I heard out of my own mouth came a week to listen, a week to think and understand, and a week to speak. Didn't know what that meant. But next thing I know, I'm binge reading books for a week. I'm sitting in a room quietly, silent, not watching anything, just listening, just writing. And I began to start to be transformed in that space. I heard a week to speak. Thought it was kind of strange. I don't know. Am I supposed to go out and talk to people? Not sure. By the third week, hear me, I got an email to someone asked me to speak to 15 different schools in the Linwood School District, to students that I've never seen. I didn't have a speaking background, and it was for 7 days. That was my push that there is a greater purpose for me, because I heard these words out of my mouth after I prayed. And then there I am following steps. Okay. So that's how it all began. Okay. So I had a little brochure and I wanted to make sure I gave it out to the kids. And that also transitioned to us always giving out handouts to people, or not handouts, but more like coloring books and things that they can follow. So that was the transition and the transformation. And then later I did create PSL as an organization. So 501c3. I had this heart for people all of a sudden. It start to shift. And then I just, one thing led to the next. And I started to really love on people. So then the transition from that piece, when I went to speak to those students, I seen them light up, and something happened in my heart that changed everything. And I'm like, okay, even though I never thought I was qualified to speak, I used to get nervous when I spoke. I still do sometimes. My hands get sweaty. I stutter, but I felt like it was something I need to do. So chase your fears is a quote I made just to continue to pursue what's scary. And I believe that's one of the questions in the question that you guys gave me. Is like, how do you push past being afraid?
Can you real quick say, what are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of?
Or were you afraid of? Because I'm assuming when you work for a community, you tackle real problems, you're like, how the hell am I even going to tackle that? So what are the fears that you had to push through?
Absolutely. So, and we can get into Q&A right now. So the first fear that I had is speaking. Some people may be surprised, but I do not like this. So much so, but I love it when I'm here because I feel like I'm like, hey, I just want to be a servant. Like, I just want to serve. But if it's up to me, I wouldn't go, hey, book me for speaking. No, you just gonna have to tap me for that. So I was afraid to speak. It wasn't something that I was comfortable doing. And when I was working for Colin Stewart at the time, we would go to in New York, there's this big Victoria's Secret building. And all the designs I made, because I was designing for them, but I would never present my design because I was afraid to speak. My associate designer, now I'm the associate, but she was a senior designer. She actually had to present them for me. So that was the first thing. But in philanthropy and in nonprofit space, you have to talk to people. You have to engage. You got to get out in the community. And I wasn't really comfortable with doing that at the time. But pushing past my fear of speaking opened up a lot of other doors that said, you know what, I'm just going to do it anyway. And now I can see what's on the other side of that. So it's not so scary. Right? So if anything that you're afraid of, there's a value behind it. And the reason why you actually should do it is it's important to push past it anyway, because the unknown, you moving forward will unlock the unknown. Does that make sense? So then you'll find out.
You got to speak to officials as well, things like that, right? People from the city or from government. That must be
It could be, yeah, it could be taunting. But you know, one thing that helped is like, I would say to whatever field that you're going in, practice it now, right? For me, I got up every single morning, and even though I didn't have a project on the table sometimes, I would just get dressed, right? And you have to understand, I renovated my parents' whole house. A third of their house is the organization that elected officials have come to. Like, they pull up to a house, like, oh, am I in the right place? When they open the door, it's like Willy Wonka, because everything is power speaks louder inside. And that's our like humble beginning, like the Steve Jobs story. But we always like, we're dressed in there. We're working, you know, and prior to everything being built, it was this whole idea of acting as if. Don't wait till you get the position.
Wow.
Already be studied, already be ready. So when the opportunity presents itself, you're already in place, okay? Because it's going to take you even more effort to hurry up and get in shape. And it's okay if it just like disrupted your life. Like, okay, I got to become something I'm not, but that's okay too. But if you already have this forecast of what you want to do, start getting ready now. Start dressing the part now, looking the part now, carrying yourself with confidence as if you already got it.
So you're saying mindset.
Mindset.
Right? Because when you wake up and you're like, okay, let me just get dressed. I don't know what's on the table today. So when we're talking to them as potential community psychologists
Yes.
and people who are going to have nonprofits and stuff, you're saying like, wake up in the morning and put yourself in the mindset.
Absolutely.
Go and get done whatever you get done. And if you, the opportunity will come.
It definitely will. And it'll come actually quicker because you're preparing for it.
Wow.
And I truly believe that. So even if you're a creative person like me, because I'm visual, right? We have auditory, visual, and kinesthetic learning styles. Those are the three learning styles that everyone has. You either all three or you're one, right? Me, I'm hyper visual. So I even wrote myself a TED Talk email. Okay. Hey, B100, we would love to have you for a TED Talk. Hey, like I go the great lengths just to empower myself to do the right thing. And it is that deep. It's that deep if you want to succeed. Because then I'm already the person that, you know, I want to become because I'm already practicing that. Wow. And we have this concept in Power Speaks Louder called Power Dollar. And before we can even have staff, right? We have this system where we create our own money. We have this concept of power dollars. So we started to pay our fake pay, right? Our team with this currency that was in the organization. So we will write these fake checks and they can get points by the check. And then they can actually send their own funds to a peer or one of the other team members for their birthday. But it was valuable because we actually allowed them to buy Nike shoes because we had a partnership with Nike. And we had other different items. Hey, I got my own little checking account with Power Dollars, okay? So I'm living large in a way, okay? You know, just playing. But yeah, so that's just a way to do that. Always just prepare yourself, be ready so you don't have to get ready.
How do you mentioned like in the documentary, like continuing to pursue faith and stuff like that.
Yes.
And although for me, I'm very spiritual and stuff
okay.
like that, how do you maintain like your connection to that?
Yeah.
Through like difficulties or challenges and stuff like that, especially when like you may not always come on top of like challenges and stuff like that.
That's an amazing question. That's actually one of my favorite questions there because that's kind of the basis and the foundation of us. Like that room, a week to listen, that's what birth power speaks louder. So there's a huge part of faith that is behind the whole movement. And it's not a faith that disrupts anyone else's because we lead with that. It's always hey, would you like a lunch? Okay, have a great day. But we have this thing called victory opportunity. And the victory opportunity with our team is a commitment to serving the community no matter what adversities we face. For example, we have our free food drive-thru. So in the film, I don't know if you noticed where the Easy Ups were on the ground and all these team members were putting up the Easy Ups for us to serve the food boxes, right? In that space, we face all types of opposition, okay? Wind, hard wind that will like knock everything down standing. So we literally had to decide, all right, we're going to put these Easy Ups down and actually imagine where all of our pallets go and all the tables go so we can continue. The community was shocked. We were still, because we were like, here's your food box. Like it was a lot, you know? We faced theft. Someone stole our truck before we can go get the food before. So we had to call the partner to bring the food down. That's something we faced. We had, at the mall, we were in a big parking lot. Tesla decided to use that space. They had a contract with the mall where there were hundreds of Teslas that pushed our whole entire outreach to the edge of the parking lot, where we had to snake the cars in such a way that we could still feed people. So there's always opposition with what we do, but it's because we know what type of fight we're in, right? Usually when you're doing something for people, it's not going to be easy. People think it's like cupcakes and roses. Oh, here you go. Here's a lunch. No, it's like being a soldier out there on the front lines. Because there's literally, and it's a spiritual thing, right? Because why would the powers that be want you to serve your community? Our world is very dark. You know what I mean? And no matter where you land in your faith journey, all of us can agree life is hard. In life, be lifing, right? So we have this concept of victory opportunity that our team, we're going to be there in the rain. We're not shrinking back and canceling outreaches just because of the weather. Wow. At all. We got our raincoats on and the community knows that we're going to be there, right? And they have this faith like, okay, PSO, doesn't matter what type of what PSO is going to be there. Here's one more, last one for that. We had recently our partner called us and said, hey, we ain't got no food for you. We haven't experienced that one before. Now it's no food. Okay, so what we're going to do as a team, we're going to show up anywhere for our community and we're going to all have our PSO shirts on and we're going to say, hey, community, we apologize this week, but we don't have anything. We want to come to let you know that we still care and that we didn't stop. We just don't have the resource. But let me tell you what happened. We ended up calling a couple of partners and we were blessed with tomatoes, cucumbers, all different types of food, almost about 4 pallets of food when we had nothing. So the community never knew that we didn't have food in the first place. It was because of our commitment, our consistency that allowed that to happen. You know what I mean? Like stay ready. So it's the faith that truly helped because as you notice in the film, I said, we don't know how much food we're going to have. We don't know how many people are coming. We don't know how many volunteers are going to come. Yes, they say, okay, I'll come. We send out a blast text and they say, yes, I'll be there. We don't know if they say, you know what, I'm tired. I want to stay in bed. I ain't coming. There's nothing we can do. We have to say, okay, no problem. See you next week. Okay. All right.
Make it till you make it.
Yeah, because we have to just do the work. So we have to get to the point, hey, it's a 15 individual type of capacity. At minimum, we need 15 people out there. At maximum, we've had 80 people out there before. And it sounded like it could have got chaotic, but based on doing it so many times and wanting to do with excellence and structure, we were able to have everyone doing something. So we got through it. But we couldn't have got the 80 volunteers if we didn't do it for at least 3 years with the 10 at the time, right? So even with having 15 minimum, needing 15 people to distribute 150 food boxes to the community, we say, even if it's 3, we're going to be there. That's the type of commitment we have to have. Even if it don't go through, even if I don't get the job, I'm still going to be okay. Even if I don't get the good grade, I'm going to try again and do better. You know what I mean? So I would say faith is a huge piece. And I did want to address something quickly that just to leave you guys with something. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I seen on the questions that it was like, did your religion help you in your process, right? And can I just add a little bit to that piece? I know it's kind of a theological statement, but in the Bible, religion is only mentioned 3 times, right? Once it's mentioned by saying, hey, if anyone thinks they are religious, then they have to bridle their tongue. And otherwise, if they treat people bad, their religion is it's worthless. But true religion could be caring for orphans. And I thought it's interesting because it doesn't point to a deity. It doesn't point to a greater power. It just points to helping people and serving your community. So it's very interesting. You can look that into yourself, okay?
Can you do something real quick?
Yes.
So we're talking about the community service.
Yeah.
But Power Speaks Louder has what, 7 or 5
7 divisions.
divisions? Yeah. Can you talk about that real quick and how each of those is serving the community in its own way?
Okay. We have the PSL Street Outreach, which is also in the Outreach Division. So community outreach is what we do with the food boxes for the drive-through. And then the street outreach is what we do when we're serving the unhoused community. So that's when our team is in the bus. That's community outreach. Yep. And then when our team is in the bus, they are distributing lunches to people who are in cars, who may be behind dumpsters or, you know, in places that are hidden. We're outreaching to those individuals, okay? Oftentimes these people are hiding, so they're hungry while they're hiding. And we have a new concept that we collaborated with, what is it, Vista del Lago. They had a service learning project, and this is what we call Power Paws. And this is for the dogs in transition. Now, before anybody judge our unhoused brothers and sisters having a dog helps with protection. A dog is their companion. Okay. Oftentimes when they're out and they're sleeping, they are in danger of somebody stealing from them, hurting them, robbing them. So the dog helps protect them. They can bark. They can be their defense. You know, that's the dog food that we give them. So we noticed that when we were serving them with their lunches, that they would tear the lunch in half because they're trying to give it to their dog. They're trying to share with their dog. So having the Power Paws is a way that they don't have to share their food with their dog. They can have their Power Paws for the doggy itself. Okay. So yeah, dog toys, a dog bowl, doggy treats. And it's super duper helpful. Yeah. Thank you, Miriam. Let's give a time for her for being like that.
So, I mean, attention to details, right?
Yes.
When I was telling you, when you work with your community, understand them. That was one of the first things I keep repeating in this class. You get them engaged with the process, and that's how you start tackling problems.
Yeah.
They're like, we're working with the unhoused community. A lot of them have dogs, and nobody ever takes care of dogs. Well, we're going to do that. Imagine what that does to the heart of the person who is unhoused.
Oh, tremendously.
Somebody's caring for my dog.
My dog.
Right? Nobody cares for me already as a human being, but these people do, and they're taking care of my,
It's huge.
It might make somebody want to get out of their situation. It might make them believe again. It might make them not want to take their lives that night. It's humongous.
And psychologically, they're like, wow, like these people really care, because you don't know what people ask for. You don't know what people are crying out for. Like, man, I'm so hungry. I wish someone would give me, and then we pull up, hey, you hungry? It just does something to the human mind when you know that you're in need of something and someone comes and pulls up to serve you and meet your need, and then they're doing it with care in detail, right? The lunches are packed a certain way where all the students that help us are like carefully putting the toilet paper here, the water there, like everything is strategic on how it's given. So if they're in a group, one doesn't look like their bag is thrown together and another looks like theirs is perfect. So we're caring for even when they're in a group, you know what I mean? And they love it. So I know you probably noticed in the film, we're hugging on people. I didn't see this question on there, but it may be a concern. Like, do we ever feel endangered, right? Because we see people beating the air. We see people talking to themselves. What do? We see them and we're like, okay, we're still going to ask them for lunch. You'll be surprised. There is not one person who is talking to themselves, beating the air, even cussing out. In our organization, when you're working with us, we're like, no profanity, but when we're in the streets, we see it all. We don't judge nobody, right? So we'll see someone beating the air. One guy was giving the finger to the traffic below him. He was just being I said, but that guy may still be hungry. We don't know his situation. He could be doing that out of protection. You just never know. You never know. So we went up to the guy, hey, buddy, are you hungry? Huh? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. Completely fine. Like, thank you so much. Have a blessed day. And he proceeded to eat his sandwich, right? So we'll go up to a group of people. They could be, hanging out with the pit bull. I'm kind of scared of big dogs. I'm like, okay, one of y'all can go do it. But we just approach them. Hey, hate to interrupt you. Would you like a free lunch? And if people look questionable, but we know they're in need, we'll say, hey, we're passing out free lunches today. Would you like one? That way they don't feel like, oh, do I look like I'm unhoused? Because we get that too. And then my answer is, you don't have to be homeless to be hungry. Okay. Because what people don't know, when I was building the website of Power Speaks Loud, I was rebuilding this website on my own in a coffee shop in LA. Actually, it's like a little diner restaurant. I only had $20 to my name. I look the same as I look now then. And I'm in the window working on this website. And I'm hungry, but I don't know if I should use that $20 for food or if I should use it to put money in my gas tank. Someone walks into the restaurant and says, hey, are you hungry? And I said, you know what? Actually, I am. Thank you so much. And how did you know? And he's like, hey, I felt it on my heart. So he blessed me looking like a normal person. You know what I'm saying? So we always have to be mindful of the people that we're serving out there. And I think it's just the heart and then the detail that show people that they truly care for.
Okay, so we have outreach, street outreach, and then what are the others?
Yep. So we have PSL Evolve, count that one. Our health and wellness division. So we have a walk run club every first and third Saturday. So I don't know, you can find, oh yeah, I just did a half marathon. So that's part of that. So we have people come out. It's free. So all of you guys are invited too if you want to get some miles in. I know you're in Pomona right now, right? It's a little distance, but we have people drive out just to get a 5K run in with us. It's community, it's camaraderie, it's like all fun, right? Come as you are, move as you can, get out and get moving. We have that one. We have a PSO podcast, right? Mm-hmm. I don't even know what number we're on. We have a podcast as well on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. We talk about adversity. We just talk about, we have an episode called The Power of Willingness. That was one of ours. There's also an interview with myself and Timothy Teach Jones. So yeah, you guys can always check that out. And that's our PSO podcast. We have PSO collection. So we got, and the socks. Okay, hold on one second. I know I got these boots on. But on the bottom here, can't see them. So yes, we have socks, we have merch. So we have this t-shirt here. It hasn't dropped yet, but it's going to be soon on the website. So we have that, and that's PSO collection. We plan for that to be books, coffee mugs, all different types of merch that people can buy, because that's a way to sustain the organization outside of grants, outside of public support, right? So it's building this ecosystem within the organization itself, so that way it can already fund itself, right? So these systems are in place. Is anybody into business? Anyone want to start a business? Any of you? Y'all like, no, that's a lot of work. Him right here. There you go. Let's clap for him.
Let's go, Kobe.
You can do it. Okay, it's hard work, but you can do it. Yeah.
What I'm realizing is you're being smart and strategic about how you're going to get this funded.
Yeah.
One of their assignment was create a brochure as a company. What kind of problem is in the community and how do you solve it?
There you go.
And there was, how do you pay for this? Like what are you going to do? So you're talking about grants, you're getting some grants and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then you're working on merch so that the merch can take care. And what else? How else is this
income
funded?
And also public support. You know, I think vision is huge. Like what really was the blessing for me is like, I remember not having any money when I first started, like nothing, y'all. Like, and that's when I'm crying in the film, that's the passion you see, because when you see Power Speaks Louder, it just looks fully funded. It's all these people helping. It's like, but it didn't start that way. It started like a little idea, right? But it's just like, I remember looking at my hands and it's like, B, what do you have in your hand? But what you have in your hand is your gifts. So I went crazy on the visual. I went crazy on articulating what the vision really is. Educate, empower, and transform lives by the power of words. You know, power speaks louder. Our action speaks louder, but words also have power. So it's like, how do I articulate this visually? And that's what got people motivated to help me, right? So it was actually the people donating $100 here. Hey, I want to donate $1,000 there. We could put that in outreach. So it's public support. It's grants. The grants have really helped sustain us this year, because we got the nonprofit assistance grant, and we also got the Creative Core Inland SoCal grant. That was a pretty hefty grant just to do that film, but it was a grant. It didn't come out of our operational budget. And
it's not money that you have to give
It
back.
ain't money that you got to pay back. You know, thank God. It's also just being a good steward too. And this is so basic, be a good steward simply. The first step, make your bed in the morning. Be a good steward, right? Get out the bed, make the bed. Get a car, like my car dirty because of the wind. I was like, I just washed you yesterday. But all I'm saying is like the attitude of gratitude can show up in different spaces, and it translates in business as well. So it's like, take care of the first things first. Be kind to people. That's basic. Smile, open the door, make the bed. These are small little actions that can stack up and be massive. Little tiny things. And they were like, yay! Like we celebrated getting Wi-Fi. Y'all seen that in the film, right? We were like, Wi-Fi, woohoo! Because we used our neighbor's Wi-Fi. That's the truth. They gave us the code. And then when they couldn't pay their bill, we're like, wait, we can't send off our fax. Like, or we can't send this documentation via email because they didn't pay their bill. We riding off of them. They let us, but so we got our own. We're like, yay. And that spirit of always being excited about each step is what has taken us this far. And we're never to a place like, oh yeah, we're doing it. We're the biggest nonprofit. Like, no, we have work to do, right? And our outreaches are well oiled. With 10 people, even if it's 5, we can get it done with excellence. It may take longer, but we know that it's all in the details, and it's all about just taking care of the basic things. Hope I answered that question.
Questions? We have one over here.
Let's do her first.
Okay, so I saw your speech at Riverside's Youth Summit of post-recovery of the pandemic.
Yes.
At the very end, there was a woman that complimented your work and that felt very grateful for your speech and everything. And you said to always open your mouth because you never know what you're saying may make the person feel good for that day.
Yeah.
You never know what's going on.
Yeah.
So my question for you is just, had there been a moment for you where somebody has said something to you and it's resonated with you to this day and it's really helped you out to continue your journey?
All the time. I take motivation. That's my love language. Words of affirmation is like my biggest one. And affection, because I'm always giving people hugs, right? Which shows up in the film. But words have so much power that I think is part of my motivation to cling to all of them. And I'm trying to remember, you said, is there like one thing someone shared with me that stuck with me? Juliet. Let's talk about the film. Juliet. You guys remember Juliet? She is the star of the film. She is the one where her son got murdered doing DoorDash. She is the premise of really the Still Standing film. In her heart towards Power Speaks Louder, it keeps us going. Her saying, and that's interesting, and I really want to talk about this with kindness, right? Because we talk about like social issues and all the other types of things. How do we build a community up? You'll be surprised what you can do with the power of care. Because with Juliet, we did not have the funding for her to take a full transformation. She did that work, but she did that work inspired by a caring group of people. When we did the interview, we put her in a hotel. We didn't tell nobody. We didn't post it on social media that we put her in a hotel. It's between us. When we put her in that hotel, her with two other individuals we interviewed, it's because we wanted them to clean themselves. We wanted them to feel like they had dignity when they gave their interview, right? When she went into that room and she had a good night's sleep, she's like, oh my God, my back hurt because I'm not used to sleeping on a bed. She was sleeping in the storage. So she was more comfortable, but she had to like adjust, right? So she says, you guys had no idea how that changed my life because it really wanted me to make you guys proud. One night, that was probably $150 to put her in that, you know? That small act in us caring for her, saying, hey, we wanted you to share your journey in such a way that gives you dignity, where you don't have to feel like we're judging you. We got our makeup done. We paid for that, right? That was part of the budget. And she said that right there changed my life. Simple, you know, kindness. Someone that's really dirty, that physically dirty, and you say, hey, I know you need a hug. Give me a hug. I can take a shower now. Like I can go wash my hands. They can't. So like we are so afraid that, oh, COVID, we haven't got sick not one time. And I've been doing this for 4 years. And each time I've gotten sick, it's been on an off week, which proves to you it wasn't anybody on the street that got me sick, right? So it's the heart posture. It's how we care for people. And that really, really helps stay motivated. So those are the things that motivate me to keep coming, like to keep helping, is the transformation of lives through something so simple as caring. Unless someone has something, you did have a question?
Yeah, so this is also curious on like your fashion aspect
Yes.
of your brand and stuff. How do you maintain like the still standing IP and everything, but also making the merch like fashionable for like other people to wear as like daily wear and stuff like that?
How to keep it consistent?
Yeah.
That's a good question. So the thing about PSL's branding is, and this is for anybody starting a business, okay? Some of y'all say you don't want to start a business, but I think you're not telling the truth. Nah, I don't believe it. I don't believe it, because we got my friend right here, but I feel like there's some other people that are going to actually start a business. You just don't know it yet. And I'm going to speak into you now, because later you're going to become this business owner, because it's about service, right? It's about how can you contribute to humanity, and usually that turns to business, whether it's for products or services or whatever. So anyway, always solidify. And this goes back to the brand thing, the attributes of what you're trying to build. A company, an organization has a personality just like a person, right? There's things you like to eat. There's things you like to do. There's things like that you don't do. Every organization has to have a personality for it to be clear to the audience, right? Power Speaks Louder is brave, distinct, disruptive, intuitive, and profound. You'll never see those words in any of our marketing, because that's our personality behind the scenes. The way it shows up is what you guys see, okay? Brave, distinct, disruptive, intuitive, and profound. With Power Speaks, I actually don't have a PSO shirt on right now because I'm representing Still Standing. Our brand colors are black and white. They will never change. There'll never be a rebrand of Power Speaks Louder where there's different colors. It ain't gonna happen, okay? We're brave, that means all of our text is bold. You'll never see it in cursive writing, okay? Starbucks or Google, they have a certain set of brand guys that say, this is what we are and this is what we're not. You'll never see the Starbucks blue. You'll never see it blue. In the moment you do, like, wait a minute, I know something's wrong with this cup. It's green. It's supposed to be green. because you know their brand identity, right? So even with PSL, even though I didn't have a lot of money, I just had that concept to like make sure that we can solidify our attributes. So how we engage with our audience, like we're kind. The messaging is a certain way. The team, they know to amplify kindness. You get sent home if you're not being kind because we really care about how our community experiences us. So with the branding stuff, it stays the same. Pretty much just the wording is what makes the impact. So this one's still standing. Don't judge me before you know my story. And we'll have other releases as well.
We
So
had a
this is
question
restrictions, yeah.
So I know you kind of talked a little bit about, reaching out to both adults and children. What would you say is like the biggest difference between like trying to inspire them and like do you see a significant difference in how they receive that?
Adults and children? No. Nope. Not at all. I don't see much of a difference because it's the fundamentals of what people need is love, attention, appreciation. Kids need that, right? They need nurturing. So a lot of people on the streets that we meet, even in the community, a lot of the community members that have cars and houses, because those two outreaches are two different types of people. One is low income families that actually have a house and a car, but they're struggling. Some may sleep in their car, but then we have the other group that don't have neither, right? And they're actually on the streets. And that's why we have the bus and we're going to them. But I don't think there's much of a difference because we give out the hugs the same way, we would give a young child. We sit and talk to them. So that's the thing. It starts from 9 a.m. and it can end at 3 because we might have spent 30 minutes with that one person because their mom passed away or something happened. We're not like, okay, here's the bag and I'm going to go. We really spend time. One time the team had to leave me because it was going so long. And I'm in the rain. This is the funny part. I'm in the rain with the girl. I said, girl, scoot over because my legs were tired. And she was sitting on the ground. I said, can you give me a piece of that duffel bag so I can sit down? And so I'm sitting on the ground with her. And this lady pulls up and she has 2 lunches. It's like, hey guys, I just wanted to give you guys a lunch because you're on the streets. I said, oh, thank you so much. Give me the lunch so she can have 2, So it's just like sitting with her on the ground. The team was like, we gotta go serve more people. And they left me. So it's just like time, the love language of quality time, gifts of service, acts of kindness. We're able to actually do that with the community. Great questions. Okay.
We got 15 more minutes.
15?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Am I doing okay, hello?
Oh, yeah, fine.
I was just gonna ask, I like how you said in the film, like this was a project that you felt like you first,
Yeah.
constantly evolving and growing depending on like the need. But what are like some future plans or ideas or visions you have?
Yeah. There's a huge one that is like, it's one of those plans that's like, okay, this is going to take a couple of years. It's going to take land. It's going to take a lot of funding. I can share a piece of it, yeah. But more of something that's closer to a project is doing a citywide 5K, 10K. We already do that with the Walk Run Club. We want to do it like shutting down the streets. I talked to Mayor Cabrera about it. I think he's reelected. I believe so. We'll see. But there's some unfinished business there. But we do plan on shutting all the streets down and doing a citywide walk and also blessing youth in crisis with Nike footwear. Okay. And that will give them this idea of walking in their purpose. So they'll have a baggie that says your steps are high behind you. Your steps are behind. Forward is the way, right? So then we can do that. That's one of the things coming up. The bigger vision is to actually have a world of words in a way. So it's actually a destination that people can come to be encouraged. So a conference center, a garden, restaurants. So it's a big vision, and that was the first vision before all the other divisions. But the micros turned into the big ones, right? So they're all scalable. Every division of Power Speech Louder, all 7, even a creative division for creative services. For like, say you start a business and you want to book designers from Power Speech Louder to help you with branding, marketing, all that stuff. We'll have a team of people to do that for you. And that's also funding. There's 3 different streams. There's footwear, there's merch, there is creative service, and then there's another one. PSL film is another one too.
So what I'm realizing is when you said organizations have personality,
yes,
each of these branches is you, right?
In a way, yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking of that as they think about maybe building their own, nonprofit and things like that. What it is that is you.
Is you.
Because, right, that that will be real. Each
Yeah.
of these branches will be real and authentic because they're you.
They're you.
That's the only way I think you're going to authentically serve your community. When this thing is just you, it's gotta exist because you
because it's
you
your
exist.
personality, right? And it's like having a child. Like back to the film, when you birth a child, that child looks like you, but it may want to do something a little different. So Power Speaks Louder is an extension of all of my creative gifts. So I'm sure, I'm more than positive there's people in this room that want to do so many things. It's like, I can do this, I can do hair, I can do all these things, right? And I too have many gifts. And have you guys ever heard jack of all trades, master? Before you say master of none, I say master of many, okay? Because I truly believe that you can be a master of many if you've taken the time to perfect and become excellent in all that you do. So PSL is an example of doing many things. I'm a designer, PSL creative. I love product, PSL collection. I love serving people, PSL outreach. I just came from the gym earlier. I like working out and getting the community to work out too. I'm not the fastest.
That's it.
I ran a half marathon and I got through it, but I'm not the fastest.
I was there.
She was there. She was there, root me on, okay? I'm not the fastest, but one thing I am good at is building community, right? So how does someone build a run club and they're not even that fast, right? I barely made the 13 miles, right? But it was a big, big feat. And I am also an asthmatic. I struggle with asthma and I have weak knees, okay? So I have some form of a disability, which you would call, but I was still able to champion community and start that. So yes, you can do it all. It's just the order how you do it, right? We have people out there that's like, they can release anything. People buy it. Why? Because it's the person.
Mm-hmm.
So you may want to do a lot of things and you can, but it still takes that one thing to introduce who you are. So I might be more known for Power Speaks Louder than I am for a footwear designer. It's being known as something, and then anything else you put out in the world, people can receive it because they know who you are. Let me climb down off of the pedestal, right? In this type of position, it's really, really hard, right? You have this vision that you're trying to get to. You have this gap between funding because in order to keep people coming, you have to actually offer salary. And let's get it clear. Nonprofits are companies. Yes, their mission is to serve people, but for their fiscal capacity, they have to pay staff. They have to have some form of administrative funding. It can never be all volunteers because people can decide at any moment to not show up and there goes the organization, right? So I want to always clarify that because people have a concept of what an organization should be. And if like, oh, they're getting paid. You know, funders will not fund an organization. Some of them, if you're not making $80,000 as a CEO, because they believe that CEO is not being a CEO if their salary is less because it's a company. So, and I ain't there yet, so don't y'all worry about that. But you know, it's this process. So the mental intelligence is always at play when you're building something because you're dealing with no's, you're dealing with how do I manage the budget here? How do I still be creative there? These people said they'll come, but some of them ain't gonna show up. Oh my God, I don't know if the food's gonna be here this week. Oh my God, there's 150 people waiting on us every second and fourth Thursday. You know what I mean? So it takes a level of mental strength. And I think that's more of the work than all the other pieces, really. It's that piece. It's like, you know what? I'm going to get through this because I'm called to do this. So please don't go into any field that you don't feel 100% that you are capable. Because the type of endurance that you're going to need to have to sustain, you better hope you love it. And you better hope you love it to the degree where even on the bad days, it's like, I can still get up and do this. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I didn't know I was capable of this position. And yes, there are times I don't feel adequate enough for PSL.
Wow.
That's the truth. There are days I'm like, I don't know if I could do this because this thing is huge. You know what I mean? Like 80 volunteers. Thank God I didn't know it was 80 before I got there. I thought it was 40. And I was like, gosh, that's a lot of people. Like, what are we going to do? And it was like 80 because 40 were internet kids for Thanksgiving. So yeah, there are points where you're like, whew, I could want to give up today. Yes, but I'm not. That's the commitment. So yeah, no, but I wouldn't change anything. Thank you.
I had a question here from someone who said, what's your day-to-day?
Yes.
As the CEO of this thing.
Yes.
Like, what's the day-to-day?
Woo! On which week? Okay, so first and third and second and fourth are different types of weeks. However, right? And going back to what I just said, imagine the mind of a person that every other week they have to deal with something unexpected that they can't control. We already do in life. It's normal, right? It's like, oh, we always have to be, but to know you're walking into a space that you have to keep calm when things are not in your control, right? And then when you're a perfectionist, that adds another layer. Okay. So first week, let's see, second and fourth. Let's say next week. A typical week of myself would be Monday, Tuesday can be more like data entry. It can be like answering emails, taking a few meetings, definitely doing my best to incorporate health and wellness in the gym. So signing up for a half marathon is what helped me stay consistent because I had to do something in order to be conditioned. So going to the gym, doing all that stuff, eating properly. I'm plant-based. I'm not an advocate for everybody to be plant-based, but it is something that has helped me and my family. So besides that, I would say Tuesday through Saturday is where it gets crazy. Okay. More like Wednesday. So Wednesday, what we do for the food pickup, we will go to Ukaipa and we drive, me and Summer, my mom, we drive all the way up to Ukaipa to the warehouse just to see what type of food they have. Not to pick up anything, just to see, all right, do we need bags for those green beans? Do we have, okay, tomatoes, we're gonna need somebody to bag that. So it's just our way of being prepared with the food distribution. We go out of our way 30 minutes just to see what we have. He could probably tell us on the phone.
So there's no surprise, like.
So there's no surprise.
Okay.
Because that evening, I'm going to jump on a Zoom call with my team. I'm going to say, hey, team, okay, we got green beans, we got tomatoes, we have meat this week. Woo, we got meat. And even though I'm plant-based, we're happy when people got meat because that's what they eat, right? So we're going through all those things. Pastor Greg is like, okay, I got this pallet for you, got this pallet for you, got that pallet for you. We're like, okay, that's great, Pastor Greg. Well, do we have any drinks? What do we have? Okay, so he'll take us over by the drinks. He's like, okay, I got 3 kinds. Which ones you want, right? So that's where we start to pick what we're going to have for the community. And every week is different. That particular supplier, he has his own outreach. So he's helping us while he serves 300 people, okay? After that, we're also getting the U-Haul truck ready. So we're going to pick up the U-Haul truck for the food in the morning. During that time, we're probably printing labels. We have to print the labels for the boxes and the bags because we want our bags to say, who cares? We do. Okay, y'all don't know it yet, but y'all gonna know it by the end. All right. So yeah, we do that. It's a lot of movement going on. And that's usually the time where unexpected things happen. It's something about Wednesdays. Don't ask me. It's something about Wednesdays that someone says, hey, I got these Lunchables. Could you come pick them up? It's like, okay, can't deny I'm scared. So we have to do that. So always there's something unexpected. Thursday's the outreach week. It's a whole day. We wake up at 4:00 in the morning and we get dressed. We get ready to go serve our community. That's where you see the prayer open up. That was me trying to pray for the community and us, okay? Because we need it. We always like to cover our space with prayer. We are a faith-based organization. We're not a religious organization. We're not going out trying to change people, right? We just know that's like the foundation of where we started. And we always lead with love. So whether someone, just wants to lunch and want us to leave them the heck alone, we leave them the heck alone. The lunch does not go and come with any other agendas, okay? I'm faith-based, but I'm not coming with no agenda. I don't care what nobody look like or what they do. And then some people are like, oh, can you pray with me? I'm like, okay, cool. I'm equipped to pray with people. I can. But that is not our ministry. Our ministry is to love on people. Okay. So we do the thing with the youth. That's on Fridays. Saturday, we go out to the streets of the community. And then on Sundays, I think I go to church and I rest for the rest of the day. Just a little bit. I just rest so I may go to the gym or I might just.
You have any time for friends? Do you have any time, like social time? Do you keep any social time for yourself?
So Sundays is when I usually talk to my friends. I'm like, hey, how's your week? Sundays, and then during my birthday, it sounds so like, oh, on your birthday, you have fun. I check myself into a hotel for about 2-3 days.
Ooh.
And by myself, and I just read, I just go by the water, I run, and I just reset and just gain new vision for the year. That's kind of how I manage that. But in between the time, I'm having fun, right? During outreaches, we have music playing. So we like break out with a electric slide. I don't know if y'all know how to do electric slide, but we do an electric slide too with the people. Okay. I can't stop. I don't know why I can't stop. Okay, my bad. So we do this so that it doesn't just feel like work all the time. So our team, they meet passing the box. They're like, hey, how you doing today? Everybody's laughing. Everybody's having a good time. And let me tell you, the community you guys look so fun serving us. Mm-hmm. Like, we love coming here because
it's not a chore to serve.
No. You know?
And that's why it's important to do what you love, because it's gonna come through.
Yeah.
You do need your little Sunday and stuff, but I think you're having fun doing this service
Absolutely.
across the week.
Yeah, and
And that
it's
helps.
embedded in the culture of the organization. So playfulness, professionalism, but playfulness is embedded, so it doesn't feel so drab when we're out there. You know what I mean? So yeah, we get to have a really good time.
And it helps not to make people feel like they're a burden to
Nope.
you guys.
It's
They're
not a handout. It's a hand up. So service is not an obligation. It's an opportunity. Okay? Service is not an obligation. It is an opportunity. Especially if it's victory opportunity, because that's when you know you're about to get adversity. But it's like, how can I encourage my team to still like not give up? And also, as the team is serving, I'm going through, I'm saying, hey, thank you so much for coming. Great job. All right, let's go, team. Let's go. We got it. We got it. We got it. Okay, let's go. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you. All throughout the whole, that's my job. Okay, I got the bullhorn, talk to the community. Okay, we got 5 more minutes to start. We're running behind. The team is still building food boxes. We'll get back with you. If you didn't know, our schedule's every second and fourth Thursday. Food boxes distributed on a first come, first served basis. While supplies last. You know what I mean? That'd be like the real announcement. But yeah, just having fun with it. Life is hard enough. Be easy, relax. Many of you guys are worried about stuff right now. I can promise you somebody has something on their heart right now. Relax. Relax. It's gonna be okay. Can you remember like what the worry was 2 weeks ago or a month ago? I'm seeing people shaking their head. You can't remember, which means you won't remember the worries of today. You know what I mean? Just relax. I got a lot of things that are always on my shoulders all the time. Even growth. How we gonna get to there? You know, we only have this many people that are coming. Like, how can we get there? But just stay grateful and stay present and relax. Just relax. It's gonna be okay. Okay, so real quick, so I'm gonna close it out. Okay, so I got a pop quiz for some of y'all. Okay, so I got a PSL t-shirts for some of y'all. Okay, I got a question about the film. Okay. Do you remember, any of you remember, raise your hand if you remember the 3 A's that I talked to the students about in the film during the lunch packing? That's a tricky one because it takes some understanding. Does anybody remember the 3 A's? Victory over adversity. Remember when I'm talking to the students? I'm asking them, telling them 3 questions, 3 answers. First A was... not action, not yet. Good for trying. Okay, so who's naming them so I can make sure? Louis. Okay, attitude. You only remember attitude. Okay, we're gonna cut the shirt in half for the person. Okay, I'm gonna help you. One was attitude. Okay, adaptability. I'll give you the shirt if you can remember the 3rd one. Having victory over adversity. How do we keep ourselves victorious when things are not going our way? There you go. Clap it up for him. That's a still standing shirt, okay? Don't judge before you know my story. Anybody else? Okay, Miriam, help me on this one.
Wow.
You remember?
No, I'm on the spot.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you need me to do?
So does anybody know the name of the lady in the film who lost her son? Yes, it is. Juliet. No, Juliet. Yeah. Okay.
I love her.
There you go. Yes, she is. I spoke with her today. She's doing pretty great. Yeah, she's doing really, really good. I think I have one more shirt giveaway. Someone give me a full description of the entire film in its totality, because I know it had a couple of different parts. But someone confidently give me like a good statement of what the film was about. That what you gained from the film, what it's about. Got it. Somebody.
Try.
Talking about how PSL started as an organization from like the beginnings of like your depression and how you got out of it, but more so like the individuals in the community who you specifically helped. Specifically like the woman whose son has died, as well as like a few other people who I don't know the names of.
That's okay.
But like highlighting them as their story as well as focusing on like community outreach with like getting the youths involved.
Yep.
And teaching them how to get involved like in their own community and make the differences that they want to see.
That's good.
No matter like how old they are, no matter what stage of life they're in.
Yep.
And that for individuals who are unhoused who are struggling, that they can bounce back from it and that like
Girl, come on, give her a hand clap. She know the whole thing. There you go. All right, guys. So I appreciate you so much. I have something for everybody. It is something small, but I did bring, because one thing about PSL, we come bearing gifts. And I just have these koozies for all of you. It has a little lotion, and it has some details about Power Speaks Louder. Also has a flyer for our Walk and Run Club that you are always welcome to if you want to make the drive. And I love y'all, and I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bianca, for the inspiration.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So y'all can, there should be enough for everybody.